to regard China as a new enemy. The great power game is called perpetual war.
Our first president, George Washington, said, if you want peace, prepare for war.
Where are we going to stop this process before it starts a war?
The aim of this film is to break a silence, and nuclear war is no longer unthinkable. The equivalent of one Hiroshima bomb was exploded in these islands every day for 12 years.
They're not trying to run the world. They want to keep America from dominating.
We need an enemy for all this money, and China's the perfect enemy.
United States scientists conducted human radiation experiments to study how human beings absorb radiation.
There's really nothing more terrifying than this.
The Chinese, 2,000 years ago, built the Great Wall to keep the barbarians out, not to invade them.
As we look at China on the map, we can see that China is the basic cause of all of our troubles in Asia.
China, they want to dominate a huge chunk of the planet.
It is time to show the whole world that America is back.
I pity a country that would come up against us. We get better and better and better.
There are places in the world whose mysteries call us to come and see for ourselves, whatever the human toll might be. Places like the Chestnut Ridge.
Kecksburg, to me, seems like it was almost a catalyst for people becoming comfortable enough to share their experiences.
I can picture it, in my head, the people coming in, people keeping quiet about things, and I'll never forget that. It's something that sticks with you.
And there's certain areas where sometimes you get more activity than others, but the one area, of course, that year after year we seem to get more than normal activity is areas along the Chestnut Ridge. And I think we're dealing with something that's very strange and unusual, and right now beyond our scientific understanding.
But do I really want to know? If I did do that, would it be worse than not knowing?
This window opened up in this black darkness, almost like it was light projecting out of it. This thing went in, this window shut.
If it wanted to and it swooped down, I'm not saying it's going to pick you up, it'll pick you into pieces and take those pieces away.
I'm going to tell you about the best sighting that's ever been.
The monster sightings have brought the attention of the world on the little town and a little creek in the area of Miller County.
On the Crabtree side, them boys lived in the woods. They're the ones that actually had events happen to them. And most of the time, if they saw something, they're not going to tell anybody outside the family.
The sightings have never stopped. They've been going on for a long time.
I sit there and he walks out in the middle of the trail and he just stares at me and he kind of teeters. I can already feel tears coming down my face.
I come down here, get out of the truck, walked about 60 yards and something had gotten between, or was already here, between me and my truck.
I
could hear him in the leaves. I couldn't see him, but I could hear him in the leaves at the bottom of the hill. I heard him stop, so I froze, and then I heard him start to run. When I heard that, so did I, and then I didn't stop till I got to the house.
Whenever I'm going down a back road down here, I'm always on the lookout.
If you truly do investigate, you find that there's a pattern of sightings all along these waterways. This might seem like just another folktale. It begins like so many rural legends, but unlike stories told to children to keep them inside after dark, this particular encounter was real.
It very slowly and precisely walked towards us. We heard it walked right up and just stayed on the dark side of that distinct line.
Did you notice any red eyes or anything at the time?
It got to the point where the National Guard had to step in and control the amount of people that were coming into the TNT area.
I mean, we was just sitting there, we didn't know what to do, we was afraid to move.
And there, to me, it was the devil, Mothman, standing there by my bed.
There was an outbreak of UFO sightings in that whole area from Point Pleasant up Route 35 almost all the way to Charleston.
A lot of prominent people went down on that bridge from both towns, and then a lot of people who were in the ultimate wrong place at the wrong time.
I knew it was nothing from this earth. I knew that the creature, whatever it was, didn't live here.
What does a progressive financial system look like? And I want to hear what some of you think. Who thinks, for example, that we should ban banks from creating money?
Control over how money is created and what it's used for is a democratic issue. You currently have the banking sector, profit-seeking banking sector, not accountable to anybody other than themselves, who are creating up to £200 billion a year of new spending power and deciding where in the economy that goes.
Monetary reformers believe that that entire money supply should be for the benefit of the public and should never be created by a private organisation as debt.
Democratising the money supply, what that means is putting the power to issue and allocate money back into the hands of people.
Bank of England tells me that we raised $14 trillion in a year to bail out the banks.
That's the way to change what we have. Take all power and all freedoms away from the people and collect everything into the hands of one small group with absolute power.
What's been interesting out of all this, I suppose, is the question of democracy that's been opened up very starkly in Europe, that you have a government of bankers essentially imposed on you. It's bankers who more or less got us into this mess, and then you say, okay, bankers are the people who are therefore going to get us out of it, and incidentally they're going to run your country now. There's a serious question of democracy that's opened up here.
By the way, the banking crisis drove more than 100 million people back into poverty. The mortality statistics of people who go into poverty rise hugely for a whole range of reasons. So the banking crisis isn't just about becoming poorer, it was about killing people as well.
Time and time again over the last 30 years we've seen private debts being transformed into public debts, and ultimately the price of that debt is paid by the public in the debtor country.
So what we're left with is a financial system since the early 70s that has no fixed exchange rates, that suddenly has increasingly open financial borders, that has central banks having to manage without having any control because there's nothing here where the gold used to be. Chaotically, they have to ease quantitatively. They have to lend as a lender of last resort.
Throughout history, monetary systems were designed to give the dominant international power an advantage, and this power is fiercely defended and expanded on.
And they flee in terror from an incredible bogeyman.
An American flag is burned at the height of the demonstration. Both President Johnson and Francisco Franco were vilified. A new low in public protest added strain on Spanish-American relations.
Order in the court! Order in the court!
I want Americans and all the world to know.
Come on, fire!
I want Americans and all the world to know. America has no regard for conventions of war or rules of morality.
Objection overruled.
The power to create money is so powerful. You've got to be very concerned about who has that power.